Welcome to Inside ArtScroll, where the books that we read and the people that write them come to life. It's a pleasure to welcome back to ArtScroll Studios Rabbi David Sutton. Shalom Aleichem, Rabbi Sutton.
Thank you. Always a pleasure to be here, Rabbi Landau.
Rabbi Sutton, Kanai Nahara. It's just the books keep coming and people keep reading them. So you should continue to keep publishing and keep sharing.
Thank you.
Today, what brings us here is a daily dose of Perek Shirah, a beautiful, magnificent book that empowers us to say, to learn, to reflect on Perek Shirah each and every day, and it'll transform our life in the process. Be'ezer Hashem. You agree?
Absolutely.
Okay. Rabbi Sutton, I want to begin by asking you something that's kind of been sitting in the back of my mind and since I started reading the Sefer and learning the Sefer, and that is that when I grew up, I never heard of Perek Shirah. I don't think anyone heard of Perek Shirah. Today, people say Perek Shirah, they go to the Kaisel, it's the biggest school possible. Share with us the power of Perek Shirah and why you think it is that people have embraced Perek Shirah in the way they have.
Well, the truth is, if you open up the beginning of Perek Shirah, where actually it's a Yalkut Shimoni, Amar Rabbi, Kol Osek bePerek Shirah b'olam hazeh, anyone who involves himself in Perek Shirah in this world, Zocheh, he merits to learn, to teach. He's saved from the Yetzer Hara, from evil occurrences, from Gehenom, from the Chevlei Mashiach, lives a long life. I mean, this is not
That's decent.
Pretty good, and it's not a segula that, is, some come from somebody 200 years ago. There's a very nice, a lot of nice segulas, say the mun on the Tuesday of Parsha B'Shalach. Right. That's the Rimanover. It's not a Tana talking. This is a Tana talking. It's a segula from a Tana. So, it's pretty powerful. This is what the next one. Rabbi Eliezer Gadol says, Kol osek Perek Shirah, me'id ani alav shu ben olam haba. I mean, again, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but it's powerful enough. Yesterday I was in the Deal Shul, and I offered them for sale, and I was telling that there's a great segula, and I said, you know what, the biggest segula is you buy one for your wife. It's a segula for Shalom Bayis.
So they say, if you want Shalom, buy it.
Exactly. So buy a book, give it to your wife. It's a nice thing to do.
So it's just like magic. You say every day a little bit of Perek Shirah, and all of a sudden you go to Gan Eden and life transforms, or?
I love that question. Because that's the way people look at school. It's like, okay, I'll just do this thing and magically it works. But the Mabit, who again, it's interesting, Gedolei Achronim wrote on this. The Mabit, who's the son of the Marit, wrote the Sefer Beit Elokim, I think the father Marit, I'm sorry. The Chida, many, many great people wrote it. And he makes a diuk at the beginning where it doesn't say, Kol HaKoreh Perek Shirah B'chol Yom. But rather it says, Kol HaOsek BePerek Shirah. You have to involve yourself in Perek Shirah.
You have to live it. Lasok b'divrei Torah.
Right, lasok. And it doesn't say you have to read the whole thing every day, which is also the Achronim say in this explaining this. So that's what inspired me to daily doses. You don't have to finish the whole Perek. People say, okay, after the whole Perek Shirah, I'll spread it out. It's too big. There's 86 different creations here. No. One at a time. You fulfill the segula even more so by taking a day at a time and delving into each one of the creations.
Okay, so let's define a little bit what Perek Shirah is. First of all, perhaps share with us who the author of Perek Shirah is.
Okay, so that's also in that introduction, is David HaMelech himself, after he wrote Tehillim, decided to write Perek Shirah. That means this is, after all of that, he dedicates himself to looking at creation as a whole, after he sings his song of Tehillim. Let me now go on to the songs of the different creatures of the universe, creations of the universe.
So basically, like man's song is Tehillim, and then Perek Shirah is the song of creation.
Correct.
Okay, so Rabbi Sutton, if you open this up, and it's so fascinating because there's so many different animals and just creations, and each one sings its own unique shirah, its own unique song. Now, what does that mean practically? Does that mean that when you walk by a frog and you hear it croaking, it's singing shirah? Or when I was just this past Shabbat in Camp Monk, and they have roosters. So at 5:30 in the morning, when the roosters are saying kakadoodle-doo or kukuriku or whatever they're singing shirah to Hashem. What does that mean exactly?
So that's a long discussion. I'll give it to you in short, but it's interesting. Again, we're not talking about bitachon now, but we got to slide it anyway.
Especially as somebody who wrote the Beis Halevi on Bitachon Sefer.
So Hashgacha Pratit, Hashem's divine providence. So I was at the Agudah has a pre-conference, a mental health conference, and I was there, and a doctor, I'm not sure he's a doctor, Meir Atkin, deals in mental health. So as a joke, he says, okay, what are you working on next, Rabbi Sutton? He was enjoying the Beis Halevi. He says, what's next? I said, actually, I'm involved in Perek Shirah. He says, oh, Perek Shirah? I just listened to 4 great shiurim on Perek Shirah from Rabbi Daniel Glatstein. So, wow, I didn't know that. And he shared with me something. I said, great, there's a shortage of good information. So I called Rabbi Glatstein up, and I had an idea. I said, Rabbi Glatstein, I heard that you wrote this commentary. Why don't you write a foreword for the book? And he said, gladly. And he took those shiurim that he had done, worked them through, and that was one of the things that he's discussing is this question. Mm-hmm. Is it that the frog actually sings a song, and if you understood frog language, you would understand it? Is it that the frog's angel in the Shamayim sings the song? Or does it mean there's really no song at all? It's like a Shamayim Misaprim. The clouds, the heavens talk. It means when I look at the heavens and I see the wonders of the heavens, that's the way they talk. B'li nishma kolam. You don't hear them, but they're going through their mission and doing what they're supposed to. That's their song. The sun's song is that it comes up in the morning and goes down at night, and it's showing its precision and how God created it. That's its song. So there's basically 3 approaches to what the song of creations are. Fascinating.
But there is an opinion that when you hear the frog croaking or you hear the cow mooing, they're singing Shira.
Yes.
That's really comforting, because at 5:30 in the morning when I heard the rooster crowing, had I thought to myself, he's singing Shira to Hashem, it would have been less annoying. Okay, that's fantastic. That's amazing. Now, what I noticed when I was going through the daily dose of Perek Shirah is that it's not just animals, it's not even physical creations that sing Shira, it's also Gan Eden, Gehenna, they sing Shira too. And what I was fascinated by was, Gan Eden I could hear. They sing Shira. Oh, it's Gavaldik. We have another tzaddik coming. Tzaddikim Yoshim, Batraseim, Berashayim, Benenem, Iziv Ashchina, another person to bask in Hashem's divine presence. But Gehenna? That must be, what is that, like death metal? What's the Shira of Gehenna, and what can we learn from that?
Well, again, the answer is that you got to read the book. I'm not going to go through the book now.
You don't want to give it all away.
I don't give it all away. I want people to be, keep them in suspense.
Got it.
Keep them in suspense.
But you should know that every part of the Bria, every part of creation, even the ones that you wouldn't think necessarily sing Shira, they do sing Shira. And like what you said before, if everything has a unique job in life and a unique tafkid, then whatever your job is, you're singing Shira for Hashem. As I'm going through the whole thing, like certain types of animals just jumped out at me. Why they made it into David HaMelech's Shira. For example, the penguin. David HaMelech wrote the penguin's Shira. And I wonder, did David HaMelech ever see a penguin? Was there a zoo? Was there a biblical zoo in those days? What do you think, Rabbi Sutton?
I can't answer that question. I assume that David, I know he had Ruach HaKodesh, and I assume that his Ruach HaKodesh was able to scan the entire creation, and he knew about penguins, and he knew about the song of penguins. And it's interesting you bring that up, because that was, the thrill of Perek Shirah is, as we said, David HaMelech took these creatures, I don't know who made it on the list and who didn't, which again, in Perek Shirah, at the end, the last song is a song of the dog. And it's very, very interesting, the discussion that comes. Again, it's literally a fascinating book. So at the end, it says, Rabbi Shaya, the students of Rabbi China ben Dosa, we discussed in the book why it's important who his Rebbe was, fasted 85 fasts. And he says, I don't understand it. How did dogs make it into the Perek Shirah? What's going on? Dogs? They're brazen. How can they make it? Until an angel comes down and answers the question. So it seems there's something to making it on the list. I don't know who did and who didn't. Like you said, it's interesting. Penguins made it. And that was, to me, fascinating, and that was the whole thrill, is I now know David HaMelech looked at a penguin and said, this is his song. What's the connection between the penguin and his song? And like I said, there's many sfarim with the written. Reb Chaim Kanievsky has fascinating thoughts. There's a Sefer Knaf Rananim. There's multiple books. I walked into the bookstore, any bookstore I could, and I said, give me all the books on Perek Shirah. Give me anything you have on Perek Shirah. And the fun was, I had the poetic rights to pick what spoke to me. There's a lot of explanations to, for example, you know what the snake song is? Somech Hashem l'chol noflim. God makes stand up all those that fall down. Now, why do you think that's the snake?
It's counterintuitive almost.
Right.
The snake was up and then it went down.
Exactly. That's the question. So now figure out why. Why is he singing that song? So some say he's bemoaning the fact that he's on the floor. He can never get up, but you get up. And some say no, that in the future, the snake will get his legs back and will walk. And then they, what do you mean? The snake's going to walk. I thought it says everyone has a tikkun but the snake. He's never going to be fixed. So there's so much action going on over here, so much depth. Why this animal? Why that? What he says. And like I said, it was a thrilling experience. I did a lesson a day. I prepared one a day over a period of time. And it was just the excitement to find, like, how am I going to, crack the, there's this game, I forgot it's a challenge. You walk into this room and you're supposed to
Escape the room.
Escape the room, right? So every day was an escape the room.
Context
Like, how am I going to figure out what do penguins have to do with Nachamu Ami? And I stumbled on a beautiful explanation. I don't know if I should let this one out.
You should. You gotta tempt us a little bit.
Okay.
It's like eating the kugel before Shabbos.
Okay, a little bit.
A little bit.
I don't want to give away the whole
Chaim
book.
Zachu, right?
Exactly. I don't want this to be an audio book and we don't read the book. So penguins, they're on the which pole? North Pole, South Pole?
North Pole.
North Pole. Penguins on the North Pole. No one survives there. It's freezing. You can't survive. And penguins are thriving there. How do they survive? Because they all huddle together and they keep moving in formations. The ones on the outside can only stay there for a certain amount of time. And they keep on moving formations, and that way they survive in that cold atmosphere. And one of the commentaries explain that this symbolizes galut. How can you survive? No one survives, but we're still here because we have that penguin-like trait of huddling together and protecting each other in those formations. And therefore the penguin says, Nachamu, Nachamu Ami, comfort, comfort my people. We survived, you're going to survive. It's beautiful.
It's gorgeous. I don't know if the Rav knows this, but probably one of the most fascinating of all creations is the penguin's survival. In order for them to survive, millions of details all have to come together, and for the next generation to come about, it's brilliant. There's a documentary that was done about penguins that I hold should almost accompany that section, because what you're saying, Rabbi Sutton, I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. It's remarkable, and it's taka, them surviving the harshest of climates, and for everything to happen, for them to come to that next generation, to geula, to redemption, is almost an impossibility. And in Mitzvah Hashem, we're coming up on the 3 weeks now. We should take the penguin's message and nachamu, nachamu. One thing that I think anyone that learns Perek Shirah probably is bothered by is that you would assume that the first chapter in Perek Shirah would be man. What does man say? Az Yashir, Devair Shira, David HaMelech has a Shira. Yet not a word about man. It's about everything besides for man. What's the pshat?
So Min Hashamayim, again, everything it goes back maybe 20 years ago. It was in Eretz Yisrael during, I don't remember, it was right before Shavuot. And I went to Rav Shmuel Auerbach, Zichron Livracha, was alive in his yeshiva in Rechavia, and I walked in, and he was giving a shmuz. I knew I was planning to hear a shmuz, and he asked this question in the shmuz. And he answered, I don't know if it was his own or that every creature has a shira. It's predestined, it's shira. Every penguin is the same penguin. He has no freedom of choice. And his song is going to remain that song for generations. A human being comes here to write his own song. So you don't have a pre-written song. You have to now come in here, live your mission, especially go with the explanation that your mission is your song, and you will sing your song. And it's interesting, when I was helping the family of the dedicators, did in honor of their parents, the Shalom family, in honor of their parents, Nathan and Elaine Shalom. So I wrote over here, when I helped them out, the one song that is conspicuously absent is the song of humankind. This is because each person must compose their own song by living through and accomplishing their unique mission in this world. The song of our parents, wrote with their lives, is embodied in the verse, V'amartem kol achai. and say such success for life. V'ata shalom, may you be at peace, ubeitcha shalom, and may your household be at peace. V'chol asher lecha shalom, and peace be upon all that is yours. The name is Shalom. So I decided that that's their pasuk, that's their song.
You made a Perek Shirah for their family.
Yes, I made a Perek Shirah for their family. So that's what everybody really has to say. What's their pasuk? What's their
As you're speaking, something really fascinating popped into my mind. The Chassidish Sfarim bring down that 40 days before conception, HaKadosh Baruch Hu takes, already decides, Bas Plain to Plain, that's already the formative experience before even conception. And 40 is a powerful number. I know somebody who's writing a sefer with 40. Hopefully we'll talk about that sefer at some point. But what does the neshama do for those 40 days? So I don't remember who says it. One of the Chassidish Sfarim writes that it watches the Malachim sing Shira. So the formative experience of human beings is Shira.
You got to find that one
for me. I could find it for you. I actually found, I know a musician and he shared this with me. I have to find where he said it. He wrote this, like a whole piece on this. The reason I'm saying this is because, according to what you're saying, I just realized something magnificent. The first 40 days of your existence, you're watching the Malach sing Shira. What's a Malach? One unique task. Whatever it is, that's his song of Shira. And then Hashem says, okay, now write your own song. Now write your own song. That's the purpose of our life. V'ata kitvu lachem et hashira azot. You should write that shira. So you just made me understand something which I don't think I thought of for a long time.
Wow.
Interestingly enough, they point out that that's why human beings are so spiritually connected to music, because it brings us back literally to the first moment of our existence. And that's why music cut every boundary in every type of person. And it's so fascinating. We see sometimes people who are so not connected to Yiddishkeit, and they go to a kumzitz or they come to shul and there's some singing, and all of a sudden their neshama's on fire. Which I think is a segue, next. Rabbi Sutton, after writing this, learning about this, could you give us an accurate definition of Shira?
That's a good question. So there's a very interesting Rav Hutner that talks about Shira. And he says there's a term mizmor and a term Shira. Mizmor, shir, liyom HaShabbat. Mizmor and shir. Mm-hmm. And he explains that Mizmor, actually Mizmor might not be him, but Mizmor is Lashon Lezamer, which means to cut down. Psukei de Zimra. Right. Psukei de Zimra, which people will understand it's verses of song. No. Psukei de Zimra means it's verses that cut down. You have a forest full of interference between you and HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and the Psukei de Zimra is going through with a machete to clear out that forest. That's Psukei de Zimra. So a certain aspect of Zimra, not Shira, Zimra, is you're using that to take away the barriers. Az Yashir, Shir. Now, if you go through Az Yashir, at the end, it starts off with we're talking about Az Yashir. We end off Hashem Yimloch Olam Va'ed, and then we say in Psukei de Zimra, we give the Targum of Hashem Yimloch Olam as if it end, and then it says Kivasus Paro. Kivasus Paro. I thought we just finished. Why are we going back to the beginning? Mm-hmm. So Hutner says there's a Mishnah in Masechet Shabbat that says Kol Balei Hashir, all those that wear a ring around themselves, Yotzim B'Shir, they can go out with that ring, that bracelet. He says Shir means a bracelet that goes around. And he says that's why when we end the Shirah, we come back. It's like autoplay on the song. It keeps loops again and again and again and again. It means the Shirah is something that never ends. The Shirah is you recognize Hashem, and it's a snowballs, and then you understand it, and then you build on what you got before, and you keep on going. Shirah is this never-ending appreciation of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's why it says, La'atid lavo, we're all going to be standing around the HaKadosh Baruch Hu in a circle. And the circle just keeps going and going and going. There's no beginning, there's no end. Shirah is the concept of my appreciation of Hashem that just never ends. It's a unique understanding that just it has ups and has its downs and has its beat, but it's never supposed to end.
So just based on what you said, so what does it mean by Shabbat that it's Mizmor Shir?
Right. So again, you have to go. I'm sorry to do this to you. I don't think you interviewed me on this. There's two wonderful books on Shabbat. One's called Living Shabbos and one's called Embrace Shabbos. And in there, we have a discussion why does Shabbos have both Mizmor and Shir together in it. Shabbos has that unique, and Shabbos again is a day, go through also, beautiful piece on Shabbat is a day of Shirah. That's why we switch Ashkenazim nekadesh, nakdishach, keter, we switch. We sing more Zmirot on Shabbat. Something about Shabbat and Shirah. Again, we're not going to overdose on content right over here, but Shabbat and Shirah is David HaMelech, by the way, wrote Perek Shirah. Shirah was his concept. We have 7 days of the week that correspond to the 7 Ushpizin. Abraham's the first one. David HaMelech, Shabbat Malkatah, that's his day. Because that's his day, the Shabbat is the day of Shirah. And it's interesting, Perek Shirah is broken into 6 chapters, 6 days of the week. The 7th day doesn't have Perek Shirah. Shabbat is the Shirah. If you really want to go, there's a lot of depth going on in the...
And if I'm not mistaken, one of the songs in Perek Shirah is Days. Correct?
Yes, Days also sings.
But not Shabbos.
Right, Days.
The Days.
There's a special topic about Shabbat singing. This, okay, again, we got this. There's too much.
You got to buy the book.
You got to buy. I can't do the whole book in one.
You know, I didn't have the experience of doing this for, what is it? It's about 90 days, 89 days.
Yeah.
Of doing it each day, because that's the real way to grow in anything. I crammed it. So I think I should go back and do a little bit each day. That's how real growth actually happens.
To tell you the truth, anytime you work on a book, you've had the experience as well with working on a book, by the time you finish editing and looking over it, it takes some time that you can even go back to the book, right? But, it takes a certain amount of, decompression.
True.
But I'm start from the beginning, and then just going lesson by lesson and appreciating for what it's at, and it's really, it's beautiful. It's just the I'm not saying it's beautiful what I wrote, but the every pasuk and the connection of the animals and what's going on, it's like it's mind-boggling how much.
One thing that I feel you did us a big service with, and on some level I feel like you're the king of this, is that at the end of every single chapter, you don't just read a chapter. There's a little practical takeaway. So here it says, saying Modani becomes much more meaningful when we truly take note of the fact that our soul is restored and renewed in us when we wake up. And I was thinking, I saw this one, and I was thinking to myself, okay, so tomorrow morning by Modani, let me think a drop more than I usually think. That's how you grow. And I wonder if that's the school of Perek Shirah. That every day you make a small little change based on, and then slowly but surely your soul begins to sink. I want to take it back to the beginning. Rabbi Sutton, where did the idea originate to do a sefer on Perek Shirah?
The honest truth.
I know the answer, but I want you to share with
my
everybody
daughter.
else.
My daughter was looking for a segula. She had a certain need, and she started saying Perek Shirah. Baruch Hashem, the need was fulfilled. And when she was doing it, she was looking around. She had her grandfather's Perek Shirah by Rabbi Sherman's original ArtScroll Perek Shirah. And they were nice short pieces, and it's a beautiful book with great pictures, and it's a nice companion to this. But she said, I really want to go into it deep. And she was looking for some Hebrew Sfarim, and it was above her pay grade, so to say. And she said, Abba, you know what, I need a book on Perek Shirah. Could you do something? And I said, okay.
And when our kids ask us,
That's
especially our daughters,
Yes.
we can't say no.
Exactly.
And now the rest of Klal Yisrael is going to benefit from it. Just to bring things to a close, although I feel like we just started, Rabbi Sutton, can you share one moment in writing this sefer, one thought, one concept which was jolting to you, something that was like, wow, that's amazing, and I'm sure there were many.
The most jolting point, I think, was the snakes. The snake getting up, and the dog at the end not being, and they ask a question, why are dogs singing? And the commentator says, why is the snake singing? Who's worse, the snake or the dog? What's going on? And with some research, there's the dog. Who's the dog? It says we're walking and we're on our father's shoulders. And we say, where's my father? And the father puts the child down and the dog bites him. Who's the dog? In that mashal? Amalek. And then it says, mi nachash yetze sefa, from the snake comes out a viper, and it says sefa is gematria Amalek. Amalek is also the snake. So who is Amalek? Is he the dog? Is he the snake? He's part dog, he's part snake. The snake aspect of him, somech Hashem l'chol noflim, will be fixed. The dog aspect of Amalek won't be fixed. It's just, there's so much depth. When I started off, to me, that the biggest jolt was I started saying, okay, this is kid stuff. You know, a dog has a song.
like the zoo.
Yeah. Someone told me, oh, you know, the cover, this looks like a kindergarten book, like it's animals and like, hey, this is kid stuff. And then when I started seeing what is going on over here, like I never realized that. It means Amalek's a dog, Amalek's a snake. There's just so much depth going on over here. I was like, you know, the truth is, almost every day, you can open up and there's like a shocker over there. Oh, this is another one. The domesticated goose says, give thanks to Hashem, declare his name, makes his acts known among the people, sing to him, speak of all his wisdom. What do geese have to do with wisdom? And then there's a Gemara that says, if you dream of a goose, it's a sign you're going to be a Talmid Chacham. What do geese have to do with that? Every one that you open up, there's something going on over here. The pomegranate sings a song. The fly. When he sees Jewish people not learning, he sings this song. What is the fly seeing Jewish people? Oh, the fly's flying around. You think, oh, the fly's bothering you? He's coming around. No, he's watching you.
He's the mashkiach.
He's this drone. You know, you think it's just a fly. No, there's a drone going around over here watching if you're learning now. Hashem also has his drones. Like, one after the other. So the truth is, I really have to backtrack on my answer. There wasn't one jolting moment. Every single day was another jolt, figuring out what this creature has to do with this pasuk, and it was really a thrill. And I hope that all the readers get the same thrill as I did while they go through it.
Agreed. Rabbi Sutton, keep writing. We'll keep reading. And go out there and buy this book. Each day you'll grow a little bit. By the time 3 months are over, you'll be in a different place, and hopefully you'll tap into the majestic, magical segula of everything that's promised for a person that's osek, somebody that throws themselves into Perek Shirah in the right way. Let's daven to Hashem that we get that impact and that Emet Hashem, He kicks back.